Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ken, also known as MrKenDenis. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a first impressions on this sponge from Kmart. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys click on the subscribe button down below. I basically do a lot of beauty, hair, and makeup related videos, and I also vlog about my personal life. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so I've got my eye makeup on as per usual. So I just wanted to show you guys the sponge first before we started. So this is the swirl one, all clean, and this is how it normally looks like. So this is just the beige one. Hopefully you guys can tell the size difference. Let me just put it in the center. But as you guys can see, once you get it wet with water, it kind of goes like twice the size. So I wouldn't say it goes dramatically as big as a beauty blender, but I can kind of feel like the center bit's still quite solid. So I'm not sure, maybe if I keep using this and, you know, moisten the center, that it's going to get bigger. So this is a Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge, also wet. As you guys can see, they're roughly the same size. Alright, so I'm just going to apply some primer. So this one is the Benefit Porefessional. And then as per usual, I'm also going to be doing some Nye Beard cover color correction on my 5 o'clock shadow. Now I'm going to apply the foundation. So the foundation I'm using is the Bourjois Healthy Mix Foundation. So if you guys are interested, I'm in the shade number 56. So I think this is going to be a fairly fair test. I mean, I have got my normal skincare, my primer. I'm going to be using a foundation that I know works really well with the sponge. I've got my color corrector. I mean, like, we'll just see. First impressions when I opened it from the packet, it was quite stiff, but it wasn't the stiffest sponge that I've ever felt. And also, I've noticed, like, once it's all wet and stuff, it doesn't feel like your cheap makeup sponges now. If you guys are familiar with a Chi makeup sponge, that definitely feels like a sponge. It works really well still, but it definitely has that spongy feel, you know, like a traditional sponge. Whereas this one definitely has reminiscent feel of like a Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge. This one is definitely a lot airier compared to this, like it's really bouncy and airy, whereas this one, it's kind of almost there, but you can still kind of feel like it's a sponge. Again, not a big deal, it's $3. Why am I complaining? See how well this does with eating, like soaking up a foundation, not eating a foundation. Because I find that a lot of inexpensive makeup sponges do tend to soak up a lot of product. Okay, now that I'm bouncing it onto my skin, it's not super soft, not like the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge. But it's not hard. It's not like I'm hitting myself with a rock. I can definitely feel the sturdiness in this sponge. Some people may or may not appreciate that. I think it'd be good for like if you're blending out like a thick foundation or a cream. It would come in handy. In terms of how it feels on the skin right now, I don't really mind it, to be completely honest with you guys. And it seems to be blending this foundation like normal, like how it would normally blend if I used any other sponge that I have in my collection. Works really well. Okay, so that's what the sponge looks like now. Just to be expected. I mean, I'm using a lot of foundation. Let me just pull up my mirror up close. In terms of how it looks, like my foundation looks on the skin, honestly, I cannot tell a difference. Like, it pretty much looks the same as always. In terms of it soaking up foundation, I think it soaks up the same amount I would get from any other sponge. So I think I'm going to need a little bit more coverage. Ooh, this foundation's actually dark now. Wow, I'm getting really pale. But anyway, I'm going to apply a little bit more. But so far so good. I'm pretty impressed with the quality of the sponge. Okay, for concealer underneath the eyes, I'm going to be using this concealer from NARS. This is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Medium to Ginger. So this concealer isn't very thick. I feel like this blends fairly well regardless of what sponge I use. But we'll see how this goes. Like, I honestly think the sponge is doing very well already, and I have no complaints so far. I think application and everything is pretty good, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I'm just gonna use the tip. No issues, guys. It works really well. It's not absorbing too much product. I'm really impressed with this sponge. Like I said, a lot of inexpensive sponges that I have tried out so far, like they work, they blend out the foundation, the concealer really well, but they tend to soak up a lot of the product, and so far I have not seen that problem with this sponge. I'm pretty impressed. Like, I'm filming this after work, so I'm probably a little bit low energy at the moment, but I feel like my energy's picking up because I'm living for this sponge. It's actually pretty good. Alright, so now I'm going to use the sponge to bake. I've never really had any issues with any sponge regardless when it comes to baking. Ooh, that's a lot of baking powder. No issues, guys. Like, it works really well. In terms of like keeping the moisture in the sponge, it's still pretty moist, if that is anything, any indicator. But you know, the moisture in the sponge also really helps with like baking powder, like to really seal that powder and that concealer in. And so far it's doing a really good job. Alright, so this is what the sponge looks like now. I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and then I'm gonna wash this. Let's see how well the Daiso Puffin Sponge Cleaner can get rid of all of this product out. Again, I don't have high hopes. I don't really care if it stains it. But I know some people are very anal about their sponges being squeaky clean, so that's what we're gonna be testing. Alright guys, so the rest of the makeup is on and I have cleaned the sponge. So I used the Daiso Puffin Sponge Cleaner. Overall, I think it's cleaned it pretty well. I tried squeezing this out a couple of times, but there's like a tiny bit of staining, as you guys can probably tell. Doesn't really bother me. Like, I've put some more detergent there and like really rubbed it, but it's there to stay, I think. But I don't really care. It's, again, a $3 sponge. As long as it's actually clean and it's just a stain, that is completely fine. If you guys find that annoying, they have different options. I think they have a black one as well, and they also have obviously this nude one. So if you guys don't like stains, that annoys you, maybe get the nude one. But yeah, this is actually a pretty good sponge. Alright, so let's compare it again to the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge. And I suppose the Beauty Blender, I don't have a Beauty Blender at the moment, but I can tell you guys off the top of my head what I remember it was like. Beauty Blender was definitely the softest, airiest sponge I've ever used. Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge is a close second. The Diamond sponge is, I would say, in between those two sponges. But this one, it's soft. Not super soft. You can definitely feel there's a little bit of firmness in this sponge compared to this, but it doesn't hurt. Like when you put it on the skin, like when you start bouncing it on the skin, it doesn't feel like it was, you know, bouncing a rock on your face. Definitely does the job. Doesn't absorb too much foundation, like not out of the ordinary from other makeup sponges. The finish on the skin is the same as any other sponge, really. And if you run your fingers on the sponge itself, it doesn't feel very porous, like, I don't know, like a really inexpensive sponge. But yeah, this works really well. It cleans quite well. Again, this is first impressions. Who knows what this is going to look like a month down the track. So yeah, I think I'm a convert. I was planning on getting a Beauty Blender, but now that I've tried these, like, and they work really well, I don't see the point. I do have to say, obviously the experience of using sponges like this is a little bit more, I don't know, like, it's still pretty good, but this is like a little bit more luxe, I suppose. That's just more of an experience, but in terms of like what it looks like on the skin, it looks pretty much the same. But yeah, I think I'm a convert, guys. Would I repurchase a sponge like this from Kmart again? Yes, definitely. Would I completely change over to these sponges? Yeah, I mean, the only reason I keep using these sponges is because I keep getting sent these sponges from PR companies, and I mean, I love using sponges, so I'm definitely going to be using them regardless. But let's just say I stopped getting sent sponges, and I had to buy my own sponges. I wouldn't mind going for these Kmart sponges. They're pretty cool, they're pretty good. I like them. Alright guys, so there you guys go. That is the video. Don't forget to thumbs up the video if you guys enjoyed. Tell me down in the comment box down below if you guys have tried out this sponge before, or if you guys have tried out other sponges that are available here in the Australian market that I can try and you guys would like me to try out on camera. Definitely let me know. And if you guys are going to be trying out this sponge, it's a really good sponge. But yeah, there you guys go. Don't forget to check out my other social media links on the screen and my other videos on the screen, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!